from Lublin, Poland, near the Ukrainian border. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Terry. For the first time since this humanitarian crisis began, we are beginning to hear that the lines at the border, crossings to get into Poland, are beginning to get shorter. Poland's president tells ABC News that he has more than 700,000 Ukrainian refugees here in this country. We have spoken to many of them, most women and children. They tell us, Terry, and we can clearly see they are traumatized and devastated. They are coming by the hundreds of thousands, escaping, in many cases, the only place they've ever known. At the Dorohusk border crossing in southeastern Poland, a constant flow of refugees, most waiting for days to get to safety. More than a week after Ukraine was attacked, Russian forces continue to move toward major cities as Ukrainians continue to pack train stations and buses, any way to get out. More civilian areas reportedly coming under fire. The UN says more than 1 million people have fled Ukraine, the vast majority here in Poland, mostly women and children. Take a look at what's happening here. This is a humanitarian crisis. Women and children have left their husbands, brothers, and fathers back in Ukraine because they are needed to fight the Russians in their country. Oksana made it to Lublin with her 2 children, Vlad, 19, and Anastasia, 22, who had to cancel her wedding, scheduled just days after the shelling started. Her fiancé still in Ukraine. Vlad is of fighting age, but he's had heart surgery, so he was allowed to leave. Through tears, Oksana shows us that inspirational spirit sweeping across her country, the desire to help, protect, defend, and possibly die.
If they say, okay, give me your life, and you can get your children and your woman in life for free, I'm ready to die for them, but I can't help because I know that it's my life, it's nothing now.
An unimaginable thing to say. So many children's lives upended, unable to comprehend why they have to leave home or why their fathers have to stay and fight. 7-year-old Varvara here with her mother. She loves cats. Especially this cat. She couldn't leave behind, just across the border, holding Bagheera tightly with both arms. 90 minutes from the border in Lublin, Ukrainians gather in the square, singing and waving their country's flag. At City Hall, these women singing their national anthem as they hold their children close. Olia is here with her 2 children, Alexander and Ariana.
Моя цурка, она веется в Украине, она mówię, mama, tato będzie żył? Mama, gdzie tato? Mama, czemu nie ma tata? Mama, kiedy przyjdzie do nas tato? Mama, ja chcę do domu, ja chcę do tata. Mama, tato teraz trzyma automat, on wszystko wie.
Understandably, Olia struggles to answer those questions. These refugees face so many challenges, escaping the war, crossing the border, finding shelter here in freezing cold temperatures. And our Marcus Moore has been following reports of non-Ukrainian refugees facing discrimination at borders.
Even at this train station, adding to the trauma for many of these refugees, there was a group of roughly 100 or so who actually marauded through the streets, and according to witnesses, they harassed and attacked many of the non-white refugees. There has been no report of injuries, but it does give you a sense of the many layers of this humanitarian crisis that is unfolding here.
Our observation is that these are not state policies, but there are instances in which it has happened, that there's been a different treatment.
Once across the border, what happens next? Some have family and friends here. Others have nothing and no one. This family of 7, 4 generations with nowhere to go. Within hours, offered a ride to a makeshift shelter. We traveled with them an hour north. And we came to this, a building owned by the Forest Service. We are just across the river from Belarus. We understand private citizens are allowed to use this for a makeshift shelter. Beds line the walls. This will now be home indefinitely. Incredible compassion here after such intense cruelty there. The refugee crisis growing by the day, something Boris Israelovich never thought he'd see. Forced to travel here from Kyiv, He's moving slowly, 82 years old, telling us about his father who died in 1941 fighting the Nazis on the Ukrainian front. Now, he's forced to flee the country his father died defending. In a soft but stern voice, he tells me, Vladimir Putin is a terrible man. Every refugee has a unique story. Some have family and friends here in Poland. Some have nothing here. And for those folks, the Polish government is reaching out to help. And we are now starting to see and hear people from all over Eastern Europe driving to the borders, offering people a ride somewhere, offering refugees a place to stay. Terry?
It's amazing to watch, Phil. And you've been in Poland now for nearly 2 weeks. I've been, like so many others, so moved by your reporting there on the border. You're hearing stories of heartbreak and emotion as refugees cross over from the fighting. And I'd like to ask you a couple of things. First, what's the impact on you as you've been reporting this? And what does the world need to know about these refugees you've been reporting on?
Well, the world needs to know they're going through hell. It's as simple as that, Terry, and they describe it to us. Over in Ukraine, bombs and gunfire. Then they spend days getting here to Poland. They get here to safety. We've been following several families that we met at the border. One family I introduced you to earlier this week, Oksana and her 2 children, Vlad and Anastasia. We just did an interview with them a short time ago to catch up. And Anastasia, a 22-year-old, she was supposed to get married. She had to cancel her wedding. She gets air raid warnings on her phone. She was able to hook up to an app that when the air raid sirens go off in her town, where her fiancé is, he couldn't cross the border. He's there helping people during this war. She gets an air raid siren. So even here in Poland, every time she hears that, she so desperately worries about people back in Ukraine. The second part of your question, Terry, how it's affecting me, it's affecting me the same way it's affecting every member of my team and everybody here in Poland who meets a Ukrainian refugee. It is simply heartbreaking.
Well, Phil Lipof, thank you very much for your work over there and for that report as well.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.